Welcome. I'm Dan McDermott. This is Google Plus Week, and my co-host Pam is back. Welcome, Pam.
Hi, Dan.
How are you
Hello,
doing?
everybody.
So good to have
I'm
Pam
doing
back
good.
in Menifee, California.
Yep. So
Um,
far, my sound card's hanging in there. So we'll see.
you look and sound good. Are you in the
I'm
what's the thing
outside.
called? Oh, you're
Nope,
outside.
outside on the patio.
So we had a package delayed by UPS, and we were trying to figure out why because it was a 2 day thing. It was supposed to come today. So we called, and they said there was a severe weather issue, and it was in Louisville, Kentucky. So I
Oh
said, well,
yeah.
let's see, right? So I go there and I type in Louisville in the national weather.gov, and the current conditions. I've never seen this one before. Smoke. I'd seen
Wow.
cloudy, fair, windy, raining, smoke. So I thought, so apparently like GE has exploded.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I did. I read that. Huge
Hundreds,
appliance
yeah,
factory. Yeah. Yeah.
hundreds of firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give UPS a pass this time.
Okay.
All right, so we got some tech stuff, and Alan is either not going to make it or going to be late. So some of these topics are definitely Alan topics, and we'll just gloss over them because we're largely ignorant of some of those things. So anyway, I see this thing. Google says 5% of visitors to its sites have ad injectors installed. I think this was more letting you know. Sometimes it's legit, and even though I don't like it, like if you download Java or whatever it is, it'll offer to install the Ask toolbar or whatever, that sort of thing. But what it does, an ad injector actually will put an ad overlay, like if you're on Google or whatever site, they'll actually add an advertisement that Google didn't generate. So it's not illegal. It could be
Yeah.
malicious, but anyway, so they said 5% of visitors have those, and that a third are outright malware. And malware could be just irritating up to seriously malicious to steal your stuff. There's varying degrees of malware. Like there are bank robbers and there are kids who steal a candy bar. They're both wrong, but they're varying degrees. So,
Hmm.
do you care at all
So
about this?
basically, so basically, these programs sit on your computer or your phone or whatever, and then when you go to another site, they stick ads in there.
Yep. And if you go, by the way, I was running behind. I'm also on 2.5 hours sleep because it was print night. We're just
Oh,
looking at Flipboard, and uh, that's where I've got the topics. If you download the
yeah.
Flipboard app or go to Flipboard, just look for Google Plus Week, PLUS, Google PLUS Week. You'll find my magazine, which embarrassingly is more popular than this program. um, but I'm just going from the topics I've added there. So anyway,
Mm.
if you look at the story here, this is from TechCrunch. There are actually some screen captures in here of what they're talking about.
Yeah,
And
I was just looking at that, and one of the things I dislike the most is when I'm reading a story on my phone. It seems to happen only on my phone. I don't know why, but um I'll click a link and it'll go to a story, and you get to read part of a paragraph, and then there'll be this ad right there in the middle. Then you can read the rest of the paragraph and maybe part of another, and then there's another ad as you try to scroll down. Your phone screen's already small enough. I'm on a break from work, and I have to try and navigate. Okay, is this part of the story or is this an ad? It's
it's a
ridiculous.
hassle, and this is one of the problems with mobile. Nobody clicks on mobile ads. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like some people have data caps. Sometimes it's a lengthy process. Sometimes you can't get back to the original thing. So they're just not. The click through rate on mobile is terrible, and
Yeah.
so it's very difficult for people to monetize that sort of thing. Um, so anyway, so that happened. 5%, and they're calling them ad injectors. So next is this Mississippi judge, or a judge has said that the Mississippi investigation of Google likely violates their First Amendment rights. This is about this guy who's just, I guess he's in the tank for um, the like the movie and the movie lobby and the music lobby, and I think some stuff was. This is the guy who some stuff was leaked up about how he was in cahoots with them going after Google because they couldn't get SOPA and PIPA passed. So then they got an injunction, Google did, against just getting wholesale information. What they're pissed off about is if Google has linked to sites, like if you type Pirate Bay in Google, they might show you a link to Pirate Bay, and they don't like this. So they're trying to shut Google down or troll them. So the Judge Wingate, a U.S. District Judge, he said that some of Hood's remarks, and this is an Attorney General of Mississippi, some of Hood's remarks at a conference of Attorney Generals were overly threatening. According to a transcript submitted by Google, Attorney General Hood said, "I told them if you don't work with us to make some of these changes that we've been suggesting since November, then I'm going to call on my colleagues to issue civil investigative demands or subpoenas to get some of these documents that we think we show that they have, in fact, manipulated their algorithm to allow for the search of some of these pirating sites to pop up." So they want Google to censor search results, and Google's not always fights that. Almost always fights that.
So this is in Mississippi?
Yeah, because I guess, I don't know, he's in the tank for these guys. I'm not for illegal stuff, but you got to fight this, like the gun lobby says about the slippery slope, and every lobby talks about a slippery slope. Every kind of rights organization uses that term. But in this case, there are all these fronts that Google's fighting to try, an offensive movie or the right to be forgotten. On all these, on multiple fronts, Google's fighting for the integrity of providing the service that people want. They want to go to Google, they want to type a search in, they want to get the actual answer, the most commonly cited from trusted sites answer. So there. Any thoughts on that? No.
I'm I don't know what to say. What it's like it's like a dictatorship or something trying to shut down the way a business or what shows up on search, because we have to protect the citizens from themselves. I mean, what what?
And they go on this giant fishing expedition.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because it's much easier to go after Google than to go after these individual sites, which may be on one IP for an hour and then another one, and
But it's not some guy's or state's job to monitor that or censor that. I just don't get it. This is that's weird. I'm sorry.
I imagine he's well treated by the lobby. Probably some banquets or something. So anyway, a similar case here is in the European Union. It looks like they're getting ready to sue or to make an antitrust case against Google. So I linked to this Wall Street Journal thing, which is kind of difficult. I tried in one browser, it didn't work, but typically if you went to Google and typed the EU's antitrust case against Google, the short answer, it would show this in the search results, and then you could actually get to the full article.
Yeah.
I think I found it on Google Plus. I found a link on Google Plus, and I've got to it there. But basically, they're arguing, and this is a case brought forth, I think, or encouraged by the likes of Yelp and Kayak and Microsoft and all the competitors, that what they're saying is that Google, it's probably accurate, Google has a tendency to put ads and then their product search results or search results that are directing you to their products above the fold, and then there's the native search results. And they're saying that punishes unfairly sites like Yelp and others because a lot of people won't scroll down the screen, and they certainly are less likely to scroll to the second page of results. So that's kind of the gist of what their issue is. And I've argued multiple times that that's Walmart has great value products. Target has their brand. Kroger has their house brand, and there's nothing wrong with Walmart putting a great value product at eye level at the expense of another product that they might otherwise put in there. And they're the biggest employer in the country, and they're the biggest retailer. Costco, the number 2 retailer in the United States, does the same thing with their Kirkland Signature series, which is very good. No one has a right to have their product at Walmart or any of these places. And it's not like a cable company where it's not practical for other stores to come in. Anybody can come up with a search engine tomorrow. Go ahead, Pam.
I'll say, Google's business is AdWords and search, and so it makes total sense that Google would rank its moneymakers higher than people who aren't paying. And the consumer gets this for free, so it's kind of hard to argue antitrust, because the consumer is technically the public. It's the businesses. It's not allowing other businesses to SEO themselves to the top of the rank. That's pretty much what the argument is. Yeah.
And remember back in the day when Yahoo was the number 1 search engine, they used to charge you $200 to get listed.
Yeah, I don't see. I have a hard time with this this search engine. We're supposed to be ranked higher type of. Google owns the search. The customer gets to choose whether to use Google. There are plenty of other search sites that they could use. I looked it up last time when I wasn't on the show. You guys were talking about this, and I found 5 or 6 other ones besides Yahoo, Bing, and Google. So they're out there. And if someone wants to, and I used Google to search for it. Kind of
and
funny,
there are different flavors. There's some that are really into no cookies and being able to search for things privately, and there's all kinds of different types of search engines.
Absolutely. And to say that because the public chooses to use Google, that all of a sudden there's no competition. Yeah,
And if somebody can figure out a better way to do it, we would be the first to use them. I only use Google because they're the least shitty search engine, because it still sucks sometimes. You're trying to find something out. The best example is if you had a friend whose nickname was Tiger Woods, how the hell are you going to find him? Right?
Yeah.
If it's not the golfer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still issues, and I still get frustrated, and you have to put these really cryptic results in. I'm trying to start jotting some examples down because I come across them. On our first topic, Cy, he says, now he's puts a pronunciation guide. Cybernaut, he says, I used to play with proxies that would alter content in much the same way. Ironically, it's how many of the early ad removal technologies used to work.
Mm-hmm.
Cy's a smart dude. I'd love to see him and Alan just really duke it out in a ring. You know what I mean? With like Watson overseeing. So
you're highly it's unlikely that Cy would come on the show,
or even in person, just to see him, get him really drunk and just fight it out,
Yeah, Alan doesn't drink,
some kind of chess game or something. Oh, so Alan would be a cheap date. Doesn't he drink like maybe New Year's Eve he'll have a sip of Chardonnay or something?
I really don't know. I don't know enough about his personal life to know if he has ever done that or not. But he, the whole time that we hung out in San Francisco, he chose not to drink, and he said he doesn't drink. So I'm assuming he doesn't drink.
Well, as crazy as he is, it might be a good thing that he doesn't drink. And you know what? This is an indictment of Alan, that we've known him how many years? Since like 4 years, mid 2011, right? We learned more about his personal history and work stuff from that damn book jacket cover You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get on him about that. Can you believe he made me that I had to pay for his book? I voluntarily
Yes.
did it, and then I edited some of it for them. But I wanted to, I wanted to buy it. I bought my sister's book, I think, too, which has
I
five
bought your
stars
sister's
on
book.
Amazon.
I bought your sister's book.
Thank you.
It was
It's a
hilarious.
hell of a lot cheaper than Alan's book. Alan's book's like $40 or something. I think they go on sale. I paid it. I paid a lot of money for it, but I was happy to do it for Alan and Jason Salas, the co-author. And the book I'm referring to is Developing and Designing for Google Glass, or Designing and Developing for Google Glass by O'Reilly. It's probably the only book. So if you say Designing for Glass, Furstenberg, and it's Berg, you'll find it quickly. So anyway, yeah, we've rehashed this over and over. I'm just kind of updating it because it looks like they're going to pursue a case, and I think maybe Google wants to fight the fight. But
You know, like you said, some search engines are better than others. I don't use Google when I want to search for porn because they don't like porn, and they do everything in their power, even with Safe Search off, to prevent you from searching porn. So if I want pornographic pictures, I have to go to Yahoo.
I thought you could still do it, but you just had to be specific.
Yeah, you just can't be specific enough. The
I don't know, Pam. I have faith in you. Remember the Saturday Night Live skit?
But I'm lazy.
He said Google announced that searchers of porn will have to be more specific in their Google search result, or in their Google searches, to get porn results. To which the internet replied, "That'll be no problem." In their weekend update.
I've become pretty good at keyword searches. The keyword choices, I should say. Anyway, but then again, Google is really good with like Google Scholar. That still exists and things like that, to find peer-reviewed journals. So,
like if you said, for example, if you were specific, like, I'm trying to think what will not get me in too much trouble. Hot girl with cat would probably yield no sex. But if you just say hot girl with cat and then type porn, you would get a completely different set of search results.
let's see.
I was originally going to say bottle, but then I switched to cat for fear of offending our younger viewers.
Well, you just offended them again, right? Okay,
if you
so
put
image search.
Hot
I'm
girl with
talking
bottle, or hot girl with cat.
I'm talking image search.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have Safe Search on at all. And I am scrolling halfway down the page. I have yet to see a nipple.
Right. Now add the word porn to that search, and you will yield an entirely different set of results. And no, you don't have to screen share.
Oh, yeah.
See?
Yeah. Most of the pictures don't even have a bottle in them.
And that's okay.
But yeah, there's a big difference.
I don't know how do we every fifth story somehow turns into porn when Pam makes her triumphant return to the program.
I wonder what Sai's thinking right now. He's probably going, "What the hell?"
Let's find out. Oh, there's a link I'm afraid to click. Pornalize. So you can pornalize CNN. Okay, and then he says, "I'm up for drunk in the fight." So I'm going to quickly, to protect our viewers, I'm going to click on this link that Size put in the Google Plus post, I think. Oh my God. This is hilarious. It changes any site. Like the verbs, it changes them to porn. Now Fomps the banging hard part. White House ass licks to sell Iran deal to Congress.
Oh my God.
5 ball busted in college massacre. Um, daughter
I
daughter
want to know
dead.
why I've been friends with him for 3 years, and this is the very first time that I've ever seen this link.
Oh, they have a
That's what I want to
CNN has a
know.
slideshow, 35 photos of the thrusting week. Um, and then
Oh.
maybe my favorite, daughter dead, Chinese dad shafts U.S. to help. So
Lord.
that may be the most valuable comment I've ever seen on this program. It's called, the site's Pornolize, PORNOLIZE.com, and it changes any site. I guess it replaces key verbs, and some are. I actually looked hard to find the non bad ones. Okay, so anyway,
Now every time you speak, I'm just going to start laughing.
am I like when Dave Thomas used to give a stock report and he was just trying to be serious and everyone would just laugh because he was the straight man on his commercials? Okay, so next up is Google just picked a fight. This is a total Allen topic. I don't even understand. I think I read it a few days ago, and it's not particularly interesting, but I knew Allen will be on this like stink on poop. Google just picked a fight with China's official web registrar. In a post on the company's security blog, Google announced it would no longer be registering new HTTPS certificates from the China Internet Network Information Center, or CNNIC, not to be confused with a pornalized version of CNN, shown earlier in the program, effectively cutting the registrar out of the SSL system that secures the web. The HTTPS certificates are used to ensure that web content cannot be intercepted in transit, typically expressed as a padlock symbol next to the browser address bar, and CNNIC handles that process for the whole Chinese web, so it's a move that could have real consequences for Google and China going forward. So there. I know you're distraught about this, Pam. I don't understand why, but maybe Alan can tell us. I know this. You were planning to dig in on that topic, right, Pam?
I was just,
I have no clue.
it says, according to Google, the move is a direct result of bad behavior.
Surely
March,
China would not.
one of the C certificates was used by an Egyptian web company to perform a man-in-the-middle attack. Ah. The old certificates will still work.
Okay.
Huh. Yeah, that's a ratings boost right there.
Yeah. So, a ratings bonanza. All right. So, Pam is engaging in banter with Cy. All right. So there's this post here. This is kind of neat. Mark Chang originally shared. I guess he's with Google. You can make faster phone calls in Google Hangouts. Calling from desktop just got better. We're excited to announce faster call connections right inside of Gmail and Inbox. Quicker call answering for incoming Google Voice calls.
Now, I just got a Google Voice number and everything, but I haven't tried it out yet. I'm going to have to try that out and see how it works.
I tried it when they first announced it. I tried it, and it is quicker, but now, like, I'm getting this weird thing. If I set my phone up to allow me to, in effect, do Wi-Fi phone calls from my phone to answer them, I can place them. We've been able to do that, but to let me answer them, it kind of works. And then, like, after I finish the phone call, in like 3 or 4 minutes, Hangouts will start ringing and telling me that this person is calling me, that I've just spoken to, and they're not calling me. And I'm getting a similar thing, like I might get a text from someone in Hangouts, and it's like they're saying they're calling me, but they're not calling me. If I try to answer it, it won't work. So it's not perfect yet, but it is faster. Originally, it was really cool because you could write in Gmail, you had the thing, make a phone call, And if they called you, you get a pop up. You could answer it. It was real quick. But then it would only pick one tab. So if you had Gmail open in a couple different places, only one of them would ring. That's why it was quick. So sometimes you were playing Find the Tab. And then they did the thing where you could get the speaker icon in a Chrome tab to tell you this is the tab that's making the noise, which is unrelated to this, but, or maybe not. Maybe that was the impetus for that really cool feature. So then they switched to Hangouts where everything would simultaneously ring. So now you get a phone call if you're using Google Voice, especially with Sprint, where your regular cell phone number has those features. Your phone, your tablet, your computers ring, everything freaking rings at the same time. And it's, oh my God, there's no missing a call. And when you take a nap, you got to remember to turn 7 things down. But the problem there was sometimes you get a call, you try to answer it, and by the time the bloated version of the Hangout window would pop up, you'd have lost the call because it took too long. So that was a hassle. So the advantage, and Chi, the former head of Hangouts, who's now at Amazon, explained that that was the price you paid for having everything simultaneously ring. That before it would choose one destination and send it, and it was really quick. So now it looks like they've kind of combined those two things, but there are some glitches, but it's definitely about as fast as the old, very simple but very fast, and it just worked, Google Voice or Google Talk plugin in Gmail. That was a great way to send and receive phone calls.
Oh, I have never. Okay, I don't know why I'm echoing so badly.
You're not echoing here, that I can tell.
Yeah, I hear it. Anyway, I've never made a phone call from my computer, so I have no idea how that works. I'm gonna have to try it out.
You can do it with your current setup. You just,
Oh, I'm sure I can.
when you say I'm
can't.
going to add a person, you just type in a phone number instead of a person's name, and you can call a regular phone. They don't have to have a Google account. And you could test it that way to see what the audio quality is like. It's very much like this. Your audio quality is quite good, by the way.
Sai helped me with my sound card problem.
Oh, what are you? I can't see you now. I guess you got your camera off, but are you? I forget. Are you using a headset?
I'm using a headset.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
that's why. Yeah, it's quite good. Okay, it's hidden by your
Massive hair.
intricate headgear. Your beautiful hair. All right, so I'm looking here. No, oops. No option to watch on YouTube tonight, Dan. I just noticed after all these past few years, you don't look into the camera. Sorry. Wonder why you can't watch on YouTube. You should be able to
What?
watch on YouTube. All I did on the Google Plus post was embed the YouTube player, and it says there's simultaneous viewers. Though
Yeah,
ma-
I'm on YouTube.
although
I can see it on YouTube.
Yeah, maybe it's you can't comment because I don't have. Okay, Medi says that is not working for me. I still get the old pop-up. They're rolling it out. I lucked out and got it quicker. Or quickly.
Got what?
The feature that we're talking about, that Hangouts, you'll be able to call from your desktop,
Oh,
and it'll be faster like the old Google Talk plugin. And it does work, and it is fast. I tested it when I first posted and said this is pretty cool. But it's rolling out, so you should get it over the next few days. So, there we have that. You should try that, Pam. It's kind of cool.
I will. I'll try it.
And, okay, so this was just kind of interesting. There was, Google fixed a vulnerability that allowed any YouTube user to delete any video. And luckily, most of us found out about this after the bug had been plugged. And basically, it was simply, they figured out a URL and the characters to write, and it would delete any video. Even like the example they show was the two kids, Charlie bit me, Mom, that video.
Yeah.
You could literally
Yeah.
delete that, or Gangnam Style, any video that you didn't own or have any connection to, you could delete it. So I think someone found it, and it was a good guy, and he told Google about it. And they were able to test it and whoa, and they fixed it. So that's good. Just kind of an
Yeah.
interesting trivial thing. It was discovered and reported March 28th by software engineer and security researcher named Camille Hismatulin and fixed several hours later by Google engineers. Apparently no attackers were able to maliciously delete videos before the bug was squashed, so that's the best way to find out about something.
Yeah.
So there. Next is, this is interesting. Comcast announced that they're going to begin a rollout, and I know Kevin is going to be excited because he lives in Atlanta. They're going to begin rolling out 2 gigabyte residential service in the Atlanta metro area.
In direct competition with Google Fiber.
I don't think they're there though, right? Is Uverse there
They're,
or are they there?
Google Fiber is rolling out in Atlanta. They announced that 3 or 4 months ago.
Huh. Okay, so he's saying, John is saying on your posting for the show usually has an option in the bar to watch on YouTube. It's not there for me tonight. Okay, though Chromecast to TV works fine. That's interesting. So if you go to the post, how do I do this without, if I click it and immediately mute it? Okay. There's Pam. I have the watch on YouTube thing. I can click it. Let's see if it works. Yep. Talk about picture in picture. Okay. Yeah, so that appears to be working. So I'm not sure. Maybe a rare Google glitch, John? John Jensen? So anyway, they're doing this.
I put the link to the Google Fiber thing in chat.
Okay, I do remember that because I think we were talking to Kevin about it because he lives there.
Yeah.
And he was all excited. So this will be the first mano-a-mano, if you will, between Google Fiber and Comcast. And it's I think it's an interesting ploy on the part of Comcast. Remember, right now they're trying to purchase Time Warner or merge with them. And this is them saying that if we merge with Time Warner, then Time Warner's customers will have faster internet than anybody else. Right? So,
Yeah, because I think Google Fiber is only one gig, right?
For now, but I mean, of course, what could you possibly do with 2 gigs? I mean, I guess if you're Steven Spielberg and you're sending your 4K footage, you can save a few minutes over 1 gig.
And if you have a computer that can actually handle that kind of speed.
And remember,
right?
This is residential, right? What residential use? And I've said this a million times, and Craig disagrees with me, and I think Alan disagrees with me, but there's not a lot of demand for this sort of thing. I mean, most people want to use Facebook and maybe Twitter and Gmail and Google stuff, and they don't.
Most people. Right?
Not your power users, but
Exactly.
if you're going to wire up an
Exactly.
entire community, you want to have some sort of broad appeal for your product.
Exactly.
Not some peculiar niche for geeks. Now, it's exciting because we're going to see new services that we haven't even thought of yet. Like when the internet first came out, the notion, like when we first rolled it out at Randolph-Macon Academy, it was about 92, 93, and then in 95 we had a fire, and we ended up running Ethernet everywhere. We were probably the first middle and secondary school in the nation to have Ethernet in every dorm room. And I would never have envisioned YouTube at that point. The computers couldn't handle that. But the broadband got better and the computers got faster and they were able to put YouTube out, and it's become this huge hit. That's just one application. Netflix. I never would have thought of Netflix back then.
Yeah,
So
but you don't need 2 gigs or even 1 gig to stream Netflix.
you need like what they say, like in the teens for 4K.
Yeah.
No, yeah, if you have 100 down, but it's got to be that fast everywhere from point A to point B. I suppose if you're torrenting important documents, um, then and the other guys on fiber too, and you're both in Kansas, looking across the street from each other, I guess you could do that, or you could simply walk a DVD over. But anyway, I think it's a smart ploy, and they haven't released, but they're saying next month, so this is not vaporware, and it'll be available to more. I'm reading from the Comcast actual press release. Comcast today announced it will offer residential multi-gigabit broadband service to more than 1.5 million customers in Atlanta starting next month. It's a symmetrical 2 gigabit per second that will be delivered via fiber to the home solution. Service will be offered broadly across the Atlanta metro area. It'll be the fastest residential internet speed in the country.
So
And
they already have the fiber laid.
well, they said they're going to begin offering it next month. So do
So
they have
that
it? Are they going to start laying
well,
fiber out, or they? I don't know. Maybe they do. But it's symmetrical, meaning it's 2 gig up as well,
yeah.
unlike their cable. It says our approach is to offer the most comprehensive rollout of multi-gigabit service to the homes as quickly as possible, not just to certain neighborhoods. Again, that's a dig at Google, right?
Yeah.
We already provide the fastest speeds to the most homes and businesses in Atlanta, and access to Gigabit Pro will give our customers all the broadband capacity they need to stay ahead of future technologies and innovations. It'll be available to any home within close proximity of Comcast's fiber network and will require an installation of professional-grade equipment. Our company has, that sounds expensive. Our company has fiber to the core of its network, and for the past decade has been extending it deeper into neighborhoods and closer to homes. To date, they built more than 145,000 route miles of fiber across its service area. So it sounds like they've laid this out for their business customers, of which I am one, and they can offer up to 10 gigabits per second to guys like me. They currently serve more than 1.5 million businesses nationwide. So in Atlanta, of course, there'd be a lot of business customers, so they would have naturally laid out fiber to provide this service. So it's sitting there anyway. And if I mean, I imagine maybe like 100 people in Atlanta will subscribe to this who are residences. So that
Well, it depends on how much it costs. If it's cheap, then you're going to get a lot of subscribers because everyone's going to be like, "Ooh, I have all this shit I don't need, but it's cool to have it."
the Joneses.
No, and Atlanta's well suited for that kind of Joneses thing. There's a lot of young, rich, metroites that live in and around the city, and so yeah, they're going to want this great new thing. And if the price is right, then these people have way more internet than they could ever possibly imagine needing. They could, you could literally wire an entire hotel for that, with that one line and probably be okay, depending on how big the hotel is. But yeah, I can't even fathom. I'm sure that there are techies out there going, Pam, you're full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about. That's absolutely 100% true. But right now I've got 3 people using the internet, and I'm streaming this show, and I have 3 tabs open, and I'm chatting with Cy, and
But see, for Craig,
I
who's
I don't have any delay whatsoever. There's no lag whatsoever in your video.
so what's
I have
some
100.
comments
I
on
have
this?
100 up. I have 100 up and 50 down, or something like that, or 50
Probably the
up
reverse.
and 100 down.
Yeah. So what Cy notes on this story says symmetrical is what makes this attractive. Especially like somebody like Craig would leap at this because he's shooting 4K video, and it can be quite a length of time for him to upload that. You're dealing with many gigabyte files if it's a 30-minute shoot of a Civil War reenactment, and you want to get the 4K stuff up there, you know.
Yeah.
So he says symmetrical is what makes this attractive, to be able to get 2
Absolutely.
gigabytes up. That's really
Yep.
cool. So
Yep.
if I imagine that if your kid were uploading a lengthy YouTube video,
Yeah.
and you're trying to watch Netflix, and then you're trying to do a voice over IP call, I imagine you'd have some issues potentially. And also with the residential service, you're not guaranteed that all the time. With the business,
Right.
you do, and there's no caps on the business service. Mine is slower than yours. I think mine's 50 and 10, and I pay more than you do, like $130 or something. But it's guaranteed, and I've tested it. I've taken like 2 gigabyte files and uploaded them to Drive, and then downloaded them right back down. And I did the math to convert the gigabytes to gigabits per second, and it absolutely exceeded slightly. Like I was getting 12 up and like 53, 58 down
Yeah.
consistently. And I did it right at prime time. So I always figured they had a scam where if you did like a speed test, they'd know you were doing that and they would scam it, right? But I
Yeah.
did it, and it exactly matched what speed test said. It looks like Alan. It says Alan is calling me. See, I got this Hangout plug-in. It says he's calling me. He's not. He's sending a text message, right? Yeah, he just texted. Okay. So anyway, Sai also says, talking about the thing with the
He's actually joined.
Oh, okay, excellent. Yeah, see, I'm testing this new thing, the new Hangouts thing they announced, Alan, and I'm getting. You might send me just a regular Hangout text or an SMS, and it'll say Alan is calling you. Answer or deny, right? With the little phone thing, to the red or the green buttons. So it's not there yet. But Sai says on the Chinese thing, which Alan may want to weigh in, this prevents the Chinese government. This is how they're going to deny HTTPS certificates to this main Chinese. And Alan can correct my verbiage on that. But it says this prevents the Chinese government from issuing tainted or compromised private keys, allowing them to sniff the content of encrypted communications, at least as long as you are using Mozilla or Chrome. He says that, Sai also says, I primarily use voice to circumvent the stupid dial-out code on my work phone. He's talking about Google Voice, I think, but I also use it for emergency work notifications because it rings me everywhere. Yeah. So whatever you're on, your desktop, if your phone's in the other room, your tablet, it rings everywhere as long as you have Hangouts installed. So I think, Sai, you will enjoy the significantly faster performance, although it's a little kludgy, it's a little buggy right now, but since they did the public rollout of it, I'm sure it's going to get fixed fairly quickly. Any thoughts on the Chinese thing? Or we're also talking about the 2 gigabyte rollout in the Atlanta area by Comcast, which is obviously a public relations coup of sorts. And welcome, Alan.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Pam. Long time no see.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
I think the Comcast thing is interesting. Yeah, it's a public relations coup. I don't remember if I've seen the price on that yet.
They haven't announced that.
So it'll be interesting to see, how the price compares with 1 gig fiber. It'll be interesting to see exactly where they roll it out to. So there's a lot of interest here. But you know what? Competition's good. Always good to see it.
Is Google symmetrical?
Yes.
How come with fiber you can do that, but you can't with cable? You either can't or they all choose not to. The up is always significantly less than the down.
Because the way they designed DOCSIS was they never expected there to be much up-channel data. So they didn't think that anyone would use it all that much. So it was never designed that way. Most of what they needed it for was to send down internet data, but primarily they needed the down channel for video. They didn't really expect this whole internet thing to catch on.
Okay. So I'm looking here. It says I have a missed video call from Alan. You did not attempt.
I ignore that.
Okay.
That was me. I got a notification that this video was
Oh.
in a different
Oh,
at a
okay.
different
So
URL.
so I stand corrected. Google's vindicated yet again. Um, all right. So let me look at quick check of the comments here. Sai, I'd love to see the contract on that. The AT&T guy was at my door yesterday offering 75 meg, but the contract still caps your transfer to 240 gigs a month. I mean, yeah, they couldn't possibly have data caps with 2 gigabyte service. I mean, what, you could use it for 5 minutes and then you're shut off for the month?
You don't think they could have data caps, really?
They don't for their business. In fact, when they announced that they would have a thing where you could see how much you were using, I tried to use it and I couldn't find it, and I called them up, and they said, you can't do the test because we never set it up for you guys because the business customers, there's no limit. We don't care. We assume that you could have a bunch of people in an office using it like crazy, so they don't even meter it or allow you to see how much you're using because it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
Comcast, they're
but they
such good
allocate you
guys.
guys
Don't you just love Comcast?
oodles and oodles.
Okay. So we're doing the I finally got to sleep at 5:30 or 6 a.m. and I had to get up at 8 a.m. to take the kid to Winchester. So then I got like maybe a 20-minute nap. So I'm a zombie, so I didn't do the topics, but I have a lot of stuff in the Flipboard thing. So again, for anyone watching, if you just get the Flipboard app or go on desktop and just search for Google Plus Week magazine, you can see the topics in there. But here, this, I don't know if you saw this, why Google is tooling up to ward off rivals like Dropbox and Microsoft. Alan, did you see that story this week?
I did not see that story.
I'll read the intro here. It says Google
Although
is.
it seems kind of odd to say they're tooling up because it seems like they've been doing that for a while now. But okay, so what are they talking about?
It's from Read Write, so they're not idiots. If it was like in Mashable, I wouldn't have even considered it. But Google has pushed out a couple of app updates for Android, as it often does, but there's more going on here than just a few code tweaks. The new features introduced today in both Gmail and Google Drive are signs of the pressure the tech giant is starting to feel from competing apps on its own platform. There are plenty of fronts that Google now has to fight on simultaneously, from self-driving cars to video content, but with the eyeballs shifting to mobile and rivals such as Cyanogen and the Wings, smartphone apps are one of the most important fronts of all. So it says taking on Dropbox and Microsoft, they need Google needs a slick and simple service it can rely on to move huge amounts of photos and video. They may now be discussing how you can edit or your videos are in Drive and on Google Plus. Gmail now unified inbox that lets you check all of your email accounts. It's an area of strength for Google. As anyone who's tried Apple Mail will tell you, no one is standing still. Microsoft may have been slow when it comes to mobile, but with likes of Office and Cortana supposedly now extending to Android and iOS, it means the fight for user attention has gone up several notches very quickly. What's next? In just the last week, we've seen Facebook launch a platform for Messenger and Facebook on WhatsApp. This is kind of like just a synopsis, a new spin on stuff we've talked about.
Yeah, this is a great story that basically says, hey, people are doing stuff.
Innovators are innovating, and you heard it here first, everyone.
But here's the thing: did they talk about? Have you guys talked about the Drive Photos integration?
I think that's listed here, but we can talk about that now because there is no list in specific order.
And I'm going to go pee. I'll be right back.
That's my job.
You don't need to be right back, especially not when we're talking about photos, because we can milk that one for a while. I don't know. I've used it. It seems like one of a typical Google Plus product update, which is to say it's half baked at best, seriously flawed in several ways, and probably won't get another update for 6 months or so.
The gist of this is when you upload, it's still stupid. I come home, it does the auto upload. Then if I want to put it on YouTube, I've got to download it to my computer and upload it again to YouTube.
Here's the gist of it, is that now when auto upload stuff to Google Photos, there is a pane in Google Drive that shows the exact same view as Google Photos does. And if you turn the feature on, it will also automatically put all of the photos into folders that are dated by month and year.
Hardly a Flickr-esque sorting system.
Hardly. And it's incredibly confusing about what this means and what it does. There's no direct way to access those folders from Google Photos, so you can't do things like share them from based on the collection in one place and the other. They do say that if you delete them from one place, they get deleted in the other, but already I see lots and lots of people asking questions about that because it's not clear.
So it's just some kind of like bullshit
Right.
afterthought. Oh, we should be in this space, so we'll throw something together.
Well, no, this isn't I mean, it's an afterthought in the sense of people have been asking for this for, 3 or 4 years now. And they're finally getting around, somebody finally said, oh, maybe we can do that. The problem is the way they ended up doing it is a Charlie Foxtrot. It's just a total mess. I've only found 2 people so far that like it. And they seem to just like the fact that you can finally access it in Drive without having to download and upload, which I'll admit is nice, but Drive as a photo management system, totally stupid.
This is for videos as well, right?
Well, it's for videos that get uploaded through Google Photos, yes.
Because it's still stupid that I have to, if I want to
Yeah,
put
and
some
I
on
thought
YouTube.
like 2 years ago, I thought a year ago, we had a way that you could share Google Photo videos to YouTube. I thought that was fixed already.
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe not. One of our intrepid viewers should tell us.
Because that's insane. Maybe I'm insane. I've simply forgotten, which is certainly possible. So yeah, and I guess any changes you do in Drive will not reflect on Plus, but the vice versa is true.
Well, any changes you make on Drive don't show up in Plus. It's not clear if the other way is true, though.
This is
But
the
I've
thing.
seen
They
at
do
least some
these
people
things,
say
and then you get all
Plus.
these different conjectures, because Google's so opaque when they announce this stuff, and then the stuff that's wrong will get reported, and then Google doesn't correct it, and then all
Right,
the
this-
stuff that's incorrect gets put out there, and people think the wrong thing.
Like I said, this is a half-baked feature that they'll get around to making changes to in 6 months at the earliest.
Okay, so okie doke. So April 1st happened.
Well, honestly, I thought this was an April Fool's joke. Because that's how bad it is.
I thought the Chrome thing was. We'll talk about the little Chrome computer was. I was afraid to share anything on the first because I didn't want to make a mistake and, look even dumber than I am. But you shared this, and I think there was some other stuff that came out afterward. But some were good, some weren't. The Pac-Man thing was cool. So what were some of your favorite April Fool's things, Dr.
Actually,
Furstenberg?
the only one I really liked was com.google.
Oh, the back. It was the reverse. Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah. Do you realize just how much they paid in order to do that April Fool's joke?
How did it work? Because that was the actual URL, right?
Yeah.
How did they get a .google?
They bought it.
You can just buy. I could have .mcdermott.
Well, you need to apply. You needed to have applied for it a few years ago,
Okay.
and the application fee was $15,000.
I mean, that's lunch for them.
Right. And then there was, it wasn't granted all of them at once. They've been rolling them out slowly, and I didn't even realize Google got theirs finally. Only a few other companies bothered to buy their own top-level domain, but Google was one of them.
But they don't sell them anymore, so it was a window.
Currently, they're going through the list of new TLDs, so they're rolling out the ones that were applied for in the past. They'll probably have it again because the IANA likes free money, which is essentially what this is.
So, okay, so they made a Pac-Man that appears in Ingress as well as Google Maps for mobile and web, so you could play Pac-Man on streets. I didn't play with this. Did you?
Oh yeah,
Was it
it
cool?
works fairly well actually.
These are all these are permanent, right? They leave these up.
Usually they leave them around in some fashion. I don't think these are going to be permanent in the same way. So I mean, you're not going to see the Pac-Man logo sitting there, but they'll probably give some way to access it again in the future.
Were you
But
surprised when
last
they did
year,
the Kit
I
Kat
remember,
thing? I never saw a Kit Kat bar that had any kind of Android thing. Did you notice that? I never saw any co-branding on the part of Kit Kat. Did you?
yeah,
I never saw it. In the store, I mean, I never saw an actual candy bar that had Android stuff written on it. So the second thing here was Chrome Selfie. There's a new Chrome Selfie option.
Dan,
Share a reaction to mobile, and you get this mobile version of Chrome web browser.
Dan,
Yes.
you realize that we're not on KitKat anymore?
I know. I have Lollipop. No, because you said there probably won't be the Pac-Man branding, and I saw it just reminded me of that. It was an ADD moment. I don't take Ritalin. So Chrome Selfie. I don't really understand this one. What's this about?
I don't remember. I didn't look at that one too much, but I believe what that was it opened up a camera inside the web browser itself and let you take a pic. Or it opened up a camera when you went to a website, so it would capture an image of the website and you looking at the website at the same time, which is an interesting demonstration um, of the technology, but kind of weird otherwise.
I could see porn implications or applications. Like that TV show where they show
For
kids,
anything.
like the
Oh,
TV show
we
where
were talking porn quite extensively earlier.
when Alan's away, the cats will.
Stop.
So, but yeah, that TV show where they show like modern kids reacting to some like dumb video or something. That's kind of the same thing there. Google Panda, I don't get. They launched Google Panda, and it's a phone inside a panda bear. Was it funny?
Well, there's two things you need to understand about that one. The first is that Google's search algorithm is currently codenamed Panda at the moment.
Mm.
The second is, it's basically a phone inside a stuffed animal, and it was in Japan. And they did a very, very convincing looking product rollout for it.
Like those fake TED Talks are pretty good. They're pretty easy to mock. So Smartbox by Inbox by Gmail by Google. I guess it combines your Gmail with your postal service legacy mail. And it makes your mail fly through the sky. Okie doke. Google Fiber dial-up mode. It was kind of a lame. Nothing beats when the what was it, YouTube Edition or something, where they would send 18-wheelers full of DVDs, the entire the YouTube collection.
Oh yeah, the YouTube collection. That was hilarious.
That was awesome. Com.Google. I saw it. Would it actually type everything backwards?
Yeah, everything on the screen was backwards. What you typed, the search results, everything.
Earth's tilt is changing. In collaboration with Google Maps Australia, it was discovered that the declination of the Earth is slipping. Because of this, the equator is moving, and Australia will no longer be down under by 2025, and toilets won't spin the other way. Is that BS, or do toilets really spin the other way? I heard if you're on an airplane and you're crossing the equator. I used to live at the equator in Monrovia, Liberia. Ebola Central. Definitely a geeky April Fool's Day. The best ever was the BBC saying that the spaghetti harvest was down. They showed women,
No,
getting spaghetti from trees.
listening to BBC World Service on April 1st, I heard they had a segment on basically how lame April Fool's Day was. And I'm just like, you guys pulled one of the classic April Fool's Day jokes and you're trashing it right now? Come on. Bad form, BBC.
Number 8, Chrome OS self-browsing. If you got a Chrome OS laptop or Chromebook, it's time to take a peek at the Chrome self-browsing extension. Check out the new Chromebooks revealed by Google this week as well. No joke. Self-browsing meaning what? It's autopilot, AI.
Well, I think the intent was that it did the browsing for you. So, you just turned it on and would start to browse web pages. So,
YouTube.
in Pam's case, it would root out all sorts of interesting posts. In your case, it would root out
You
things.
have no idea what I search.
I have a pretty good idea what you search since you advertise that on your posts, Pam.
Number 9 is YouTube Sandstorm, and it says this is one of the more confusing of pranks done by Google today. That's a fairly low bar. Searching for basically anything, you'll see a suggestion. Did you mean Darude? Sandstorm by Darude? Auto Darude is included in settings for every video. You can add music in any video as well. That's Sandstorm, that song that swept the nation with its techno explosion, ramp up madness, trance back when it was released by DJ Darude in 1999. So I guess they're sort of rickrolling you with their deruding you, which would be derusive in its lowest form. The keyless keyboard by Google Japan. This device allows you to push Japanese text to your mobile device with the keyless keyboard through Piro Piro, a party horn. It's glorious and simple, and it certainly must work. And then finally, prankster Easter eggs, laughing in Hangouts. Typing the words April Fools in Google Hangouts will result in a laughing clown or happy face with nose or prankster. They will laugh at you until you cry. Okay. So obviously they said, okay, everyone, we have to come up with something. We got to fill the album. We only got 9 songs. We'll come up with something.
Some of those are pretty cute. Certainly cuter than ones we've seen in the past.
Every year you can't do the spaghetti trees. My ultimate one, I shared it. People believed it, is we announced that the town of Front Royal was selling the Shenandoah River, and people were freaking out. If you Google town to sell Shenandoah River, you'll come up with a post. I swear to God, I would think I was drinking when I wrote it. It seemed really funny, and I just made up quotes from like the delegate and the council members and stuff, and then I sent it to Roger, my managing editor, and to finish it, and we just put it right on the front page, and people were just... The town manager said he was getting angry, like 20 calls a day, angry. And he's like, you can't sell a river. And I said they were going to drain it to bring water for new housing development. It was just really over the top. Okay, I didn't even see this. The Mike Lee fundraiser, I don't know if we care about that. Google has decided not to attend a Silicon Valley fundraising event to help plan for Senator Mike Lee after the lawmaker said he's starting an inquiry into the circumstances surrounding the government's decision to close an antitrust investigation into Google 2 years ago. Everyone's beating up on Google, usually urged on by Google's competitors, any of whom could, if they're good enough, could write a better search engine, and Google will become the next MySpace. But in the meantime, if you can't innovate, litigate. A new hack could let thieves bypass the iPhone's lock screen. This was interesting. The way they did it, I guess you have 10 or some number of tries, and then it shuts the phone down. But it's the way this hack was. It would actually power down, so it reset the countdown, and you would only have to go through like 10, the 4 characters, which wouldn't take you that long. If they had not chosen to do a longer form password. And the default, I think, is 4, but you can choose to do a much longer one if you decided to. So that was kind of innovative. You had to be at least impressed with their creativity. Any thoughts? Okay.
No.
Okay, so this is interesting. Well, I'm going to check comments while you're doing this, Alan. More Chromebooks. I guess they're coming out with some very affordable ones, some even cheaper ones, less expensive. And this little Chrome stick thing. It's like a dongle, and it's a fully functional computer. So what's this about?
The Chrome Stick one is interesting. Basically, it's going to be like a Chromecast in that you plug it in and it has a USB port for power and for an optional keyboard. But it includes Bluetooth, so you pair it with a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, you plug it into a TV, and you've got an instant Chromebook. It's the size of, nothing. So that'll be pretty cute, pretty cool. I think they said it's due out later this year, um, within the next few months, going for $100. So $100 for a Chrome OS device.
This isn't there a Raspberry Pi that was rumored or is out that is basically a USB thing, a fully functional computer?
Yeah, there are Raspberry Pis that do this sort of thing as well, but they're still more on the hobbyist level. I mean, you still need to somehow get an operating system on it. You need to, control it. It's very much hobbyist, and it's great for hobbyists. Wonderful for hobbyists.
This turns your dumb TV into a computer.
Yeah.
It's like the Chromecast, sort of, but it's the full thing. That's cool.
Well, a Chromecast turns your dumb TV into a TV. This turns your TV into a computer.
Okay. One of the most innovative things I've seen lately is this stupid little Amazon. What is it called? The Amazon. It's the buttons.
Those were cute. Have those been verified as a real product?
I was nervous because I think
Because it came out on April 1st.
right. I'm thinking who's going to introduce something. I don't know if I posted it, but I think it's smart. I mean, like they said they were going to partner with like Huggies or Glad trash bags or coffee, so expendables, and you would choose. You'd have to choose that product, so you couldn't have the Huggies one and use Pampers, and you just hit the button, and it orders it for you. But you do, to prevent like drunk ordering 7,000 pairs of diapers, it texts you and tells you to that. But it does it. It's like the one click. You'll get a notification you've done this, and you have to opt out, or it's coming. I think it's straight up genius to have a little button on top of the coffee pot. And when you're running low on coffee, just hit the button. That's it. And in 2 days, and they said they're going to give the buttons out free for Prime subscribers. I think this is absolutely genius.
I think it's a great idea. I think this truly begins to understand what the Internet of Things is really about. Because previously, people have been doing really stupid things with the Internet of Things. Light bulbs that have IP addresses, great idea. Light bulbs that have IP addresses that you can only control from your mobile device, really, really dumb idea. This really says, look, the Internet of Things is about the people that need to work with them, not about the things themselves. And major kudos to Amazon for realizing that, if this is a real product. If it's not a real product, major kudos to Amazon for slapping somebody around and saying, hey, maybe you should make this a real product. I've got some qualms about tying it. Only specific products are going to be able to do it. You order those products with the keys from Amazon, and once you get them, there's nothing you can do about them. I would like to see them more programmable, but hey, this is, I think, just brilliant conceptually.
Yeah, it would be neat if you had a little LED thing, and they're cheap, and you could choose any product, batteries or what. I guess people. I recharge them, and it would show a little picture of the product or something. But by tying them in this way, probably they got Huggies to chip in for the cost to do it. I think it's either genius or boy, they've really trolled us. So, okay, next is Pam. Did you have any thoughts? Or I don't know if Pam's still. What's she doing? That's a genius idea. These little Huggies buttons.
I don't have any thoughts other than. I guess my one thought was, what if you don't want Huggies or Pampers? What if what happens once you your kid grows out of Pampers?
You throw it out, or you return it, or.
Yeah, exactly. You throw it out. What if you get the one for Tide and like my kids are both allergic to Tide?
Well, yeah, obviously it's a rollout, like Gillette razors, Glad bags.
Yeah, see, it's all the super expensive stuff.
So it's the Amazon Dash button.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to. Yeah, I'm a strange shopper anyway. I except for toilet paper, I like to save money.
Okay, so it says they've been testing this for a year, in hundreds of homes. And there's a scanner hardware for I think for Amazon Fresh, which is their fresh food. Basically, they bring you groceries, and it's $300 a year. And it's only in Seattle, parts of California, and New York. And I think he said food is really hard to do it profitably. Jeff Bezos was doing an interview. I think they're losing their ass, but they're trying to innovate, and it's kind of like Google with the driverless cars. They think they're going somewhere with it, but right now they're certainly not making any profit from it,
They're losing their ass on everything, though.
except search ads. But they're getting sued for that.
It is
EU.
difficult because you know, the good part about Amazon is that you can get it in 2 days. The bad part about Amazon is they have to stock a shitload of stuff for you to get it in 2 days. You know, the cost of carrying inventory is significant.
And waste is something they're not used to.
Well, and that's why the food isn't very profitable, because once it goes bad, it goes bad. You know, that football helmet doesn't go bad, but you know.
Do they
That
really
box
have?
of
Are they really
crackers
renting
does.
goats, or is that an April Fool's thing?
What'd you say?
The Amazon goats. Is that real? I'm scared of every story around now. Apparently,
Goat?
apparently, you can go on Amazon. You can rent a goat to mow your lawn. Just like this doesn't sound real, but I haven't heard anyone say it's a joke. It's some kind of like eco thing. And apparently, I've discovered they're far more efficient at that than sheep. And this dates back, I think, to FDR, who during some sort of crisis had sheep come to trim the White House lawn. And I assume shit all over it. But apparently goats are better at this.
Yeah, but when they shit all over it, that's fertilizer.
And I saw the cutest little video on Facebook today
Okay,
of little
Stan.
baby goats. They were really high. They love to
Stan.
jump.
Stan? Stan?
Sorry. So anyway, also I recommend, while we're talking about weird stuff, just very briefly until Alan starts screaming at me. Richard, the kid I look after, we were coming out of a hotel in Waynesville, North Carolina. It was where I was last week, and there were these donkeys or whatever. But if you look down my stream and look at the donkeys of Smoky Mountain Inn or whatever, part 2 of 2, Richard gets shocked. We didn't realize it was an electric fence, and it's hilarious. So we're going over to pet the donkey, whatever, and all of a sudden, zzz, and so you'll get to see Richard basically come unglued. It's kind of funny. So anyway, this next story here is...
Okay, Dan, I'm sorry, but the way you just portrayed that whole story makes you sound like a sadistic. You know, you're getting your jollies out of your kid, the kid you're looking after.
He was fine. It was
electrocuting
just
himself.
funny.
I'm gonna take a video of him electrocuting himself.
No, I was doing a video of the little, I don't even know what kind of animal it is, some sort of small horse-like thing. Had 4 legs and, you know, the long face, tail. And so it's sort of like a burro or whatever. And a horse made by committee. And I was like, oh, look how cute it is. And they were coming up toward us. I was like, you think it'd be safe to pet it? And you can see the shadow of his arm kind of approaching the fence. And so then he's like, oh, like this. And I thought he'd cut himself because it was a barbed wire fence. I was like, oh no, are you cut? And he's like, no, it's electric. I can't feel my arm. At which point I just busted out laughing. And then I kept the video going, of course. And I said, this is now a public safety video. We wanted to warn you about these dangerous ponies or whatever the hell they are. Anyway, it's part 2 of 2. It's only like a 90-second video. It's worth a watch if you like watching people get electrocuted and survive. Next, I'm going to try that cocktail of drugs, but I can't get it anymore. So I'm electrocuting him. Just trying to be topical, kids. So, okay, YouTube 3, mainstream media 0. Welcome to the new era. So it's just basically saying here, this is on Vox, which is sort of this is the Washington Post. He says, so far in 2015, President Obama sat down for interviews with 3 YouTube stars, Vox, BuzzFeed, Huffington Post, Vice News, and Jimmy Kimmel. He has not granted interviews to, among others, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Associated Press, or USA Today. And I would draw a correlation. Basically, this is talking about he's trying to reach people who don't normally read the news or watch the news or listen to the news. And the most brilliant example of that was going on Zach Cal, whatever the hell his name is, the Between Two Ferns, which was just absolutely hilarious. And they actually got a bump in inquiries to the website, the healthcare website. So I think it's like my newspaper. Anytime I can put a kid or an animal or a goat, whatever, on the cover of my newspaper, I know that will cause someone who's not a traditional newspaper reader to pick the paper up and look at it. Because the people who care about the town council meeting, they're picking my paper up, reading it cover to cover anyway. I don't need to sell to them. So I think this is just an electronic version of the same thing. Any thoughts on this? This is just sort of obvious. I just thought it was noteworthy. Anybody care? Okay.
Do we have any comments, Dan?
Yep, let me check on the comments, which I promised to look at. Dan McDermott should have tuned in last week when Dan McDermott was right, says Cy. And I'm afraid to click this YouTube thing because I keep getting trolled by them for screen sharing. I've stopped monetizing all my videos now.
Really?
Because of the ridiculous... I mean, they ping me on the intro music for this program and for the Android show like multiple times, and then it's like pulling teeth. I should publicly post this exchange I had with this one guy. Just Go
But
ahead.
you bought the rights to the music.
I showed them, and they said, but you have to be able to commercially use them. I said, sentence 3, it says you can use this for profit, non-profit in any way, except to release a collection of songs for others to use. It clearly says, and finally, after like literally days, I think I'm going to post it. So it's not worth it to get 7 cents. I mean, I have 7 cents. I'm good. I basically did it. The only reason I monetized them was because there was a theory Craig and I have that if a video is monetized, you might have a better chance of natively appearing as an alternative in YouTube search, because they have a vested interest in promoting a video that they can make revenue themselves from. That's the only reason I did it. Although I did make a lot of money from the Duck Dynasty guys.
Have you thought about maybe writing a song and singing it?
He'd still get sued. He'd still get it blocked.
It's his song, though.
I'm not
So?
a great writer. I can sing, but I sing covers. I'm no Daria Musk, who can write these wonderful songs and sing them well and play them well. And I certainly don't look like that. She looks great too. So she's got a very attractive entertainment thing. She's talented and funny and nice. So I don't have any of those things. I'm semi-talented, but not in the way she is. And then he says, Cy Bernat, he says, I need an Amazon button on my whiskey bottles. Pam says, no, you don't. Cy says, the selection is getting thin. I read a story today that bourbon is the new whiskey, that Scotch is no longer
Oh,
as
you should
popular.
see Cy's collection of bourbon. He had quite the selection in New Year's.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, so did Richard. Just kidding. That's a sore spot still. Okay, so next is... all right, so we're all excited about President Obama appearing on all these shows and not going on the traditional media, which gets to asking questions at the press briefing every time he does one. Okay, custom maps. I added this here. We talked about this on Monday, I believe, Alan. You can now view custom... It was kind of a topic for both shows. You can now view custom maps in the main Android Maps app. I assume that'll hit iOS. What's the main application? Obviously, if you had a park or a city like Paris, and if someone wanted to come up with an interesting walking tour, there are all sorts of applications for custom maps. Is that mainly what people are doing with these things?
People are doing tons and tons of different things with custom maps.
Like you've been on
mean,
Photo Walks, right? That'd be a good application for it. Great
It's
places.
walks. It's just pointing out locations. It's using it to mark places of historic interest. I mean, people are using custom maps all over the place. There is many different applications for this as there are of apps itself.
How does discovery work? Would you have to share a link, or could someone do a search?
You have to share a link, yes.
Okay. So they're the best kept secret, unless someone has reach. But cool, awesome. I was saying I think we should do one because we have a nice, as an experiment, that we have a nice walking tour in downtown Front Royal of very old historic buildings. Some I think one dates to the 1700s, and there's interesting stories about them. And they have a physical printed thing, and it'd be kind of neat if someone could, on their phone, follow that and be able to find it when the visitor's office is closed. Okay, next is, we've already talked about this, your photos and files together in Drive. And then Mike Elgin shared, I just thought it was funny, now there's a selfie stick for tablets. I've never seen a selfie stick in the wild, but Richard's seen one in high school. And
Oh,
apparently,
I saw one at the social media conference last week. But my note was too big to fit into it, so I didn't actually try it out. But I did see it.
I get that a lot, Pam. Welcome back, Pam.
Uh,
I don't know why you make me naughty. You just show up. So anyway, yeah, I won't be getting a selfie stick. But I did this thing on the Indiana thing, and I was just holding my phone up as I was walking. I just had some thoughts I want to do, and also I got to talk about on the radio. That'll be tomorrow at 11:07 a.m. Eastern, 8:07 a.m. Pacific. That's every Saturday at VirginiaTalkRadioNetwork.com, or if you're in, like, I don't know, Tidewater or Central Virginia, you can listen on their stations. WIQORadio.com is a good one to listen live, and I usually post them afterward. But I'm on like 10 minutes talking about the big story of the week, and it's their most popular segment, he said. And I'll be talking about the stuff. We can talk about at the end of the show, the Indiana, Kentucky stuff, because there's actually a tech angle to it. It was interesting. Periscope versus the two Twitter apps. Well, two apps. Meerkat was all the rage. I guess it was interested in South by Southwest, whatever. It was introduced, or somewhere. And
Yeah.
you can live stream. I tried it once. I've tried both of them once. And then Twitter, unbeknownst to Meerkat, had just made a deal to buy this company Periscope, which does the same thing but does a little bit better. So Twitter screwed some of the discovery of other friends and who else is on it within Twitter, because it was competing with their own product. And that is one of the terms of service. You can't create an app using their API that largely mirrors one of their core functionalities or one of their core apps. They just didn't know that they were buying Periscope at the time. So that's their bad luck. And I think they worked on Meerkat for a couple of years. So they're gonna have to figure another way to do it. But any thoughts on this notion of Meerkat? It was a live stream, then it disappears. You can't watch it after. There's no saving it, except you can save it on your own phone.
It's like,
and it was only
it's like-
vertical, which is
It's
stupid.
like Snapchat for videos.
Yeah, I tried
right?
it, but they force you to go vertical. I didn't know that. I went landscape, and it actually was showing it sideways, or something. I mean, it was crazy. And I think the Periscope's the same way. Why are we conceding defeat to the people who refuse to hold their damn phone? I like what YouTube did. Didn't they have an iOS app that immediately switched to landscape mode, so you couldn't do it vertical? Why is everyone doing the vertical thing? I know that's how they use it. Why can't we still beat them up for that and encourage them to do a video as the players are laid out in landscape? I don't know why we're giving up on that and just conceding defeat. Obviously no one cares about my little topics.
I don't do video on my phone. I think I took a picture of the windy day and some hail. And that's the subtotal of my video taking experience. So I don't have an opinion because I don't have an opinion. That's, I mean, you know.
Talk about a self-fulfilling.
I guess if I ever started taking videos of myself, I don't even know. Can you take a video of yourself
With the new
front-facing
tablet
camera?
selfie stick?
I guess. Yeah. I lead such a boring life.
Well, that's a stretch. I don't think your life is that boring. Okay, so let me do some comments, and then there's a really interesting Yelp story. We love Yelp stories. So we got a lot of YouTube comments now. Medicrit says, it's not working for me. I still got the old pop-up. And then John Short says, I'm on YouTube. Medi says, Comcast is beating Google. It must be a late April Fool's joke. Jeff Stoner, 2 gigs with the crappiest customer service. Medi, they said 56K was not needed because no one can type that fast. I type fast, and I can tell you I was typing a text in the Hangouts app on desktop, and sometimes it will screw up when I'm typing and put like half a word in the middle of the sentence where it's not supposed to be because I type faster than however it works can handle it. I'm basically Superman. Multiple 4K streams throughout the house can be a reality soon. We're talking about the 2 gig offering from Comcast to compete literally and also in a PR manner with Google Fiber, since they're both going to be duking it out in Atlanta initially. I'm sure that city was no coincidence. Because Google's there and because they had already laid out infrastructure for their business customers. John Rochette, I've been waiting, refreshing over and over on Google Plus, only to find your show is only on YouTube. What gives? No more show on Google Plus. It should be there. I'm not sure, but John Jensen had the opposite problem. He could watch it on Google Plus, but he couldn't switch over to YouTube. So there was some sort of glitch. I'm not sure what it is. Oops, my bad. Now I see it's there now. So sorry. It's okay. We'll forgive you this time. You can import Google Plus videos into YouTube, Jeff says. Okay, I got to figure out how to do that. I once deleted a folder in Drive thinking that everything would be moved to the trash, and then I had to spend half a week looking for archive files and subfolders, says Richard Grunholm, who's a great guy. He's been on the show before, and he's a smart dude. And let's see if there's Cy here. They banned selfie sticks at Coachella this year, and the Sun God Festival is supposed to be toned down this year, but then they have Snoop Dogg performing. And then why can I not save a custom map and refer to it with Google Now, i.e. navigate to the name of my saved place?
Man, they do need to do something with Google Now. It's got so much potential, but it's such a piece of crap.
Okay. There's issues. Does anyone what was the thing where you'd be driving around, you turn it on, and it would alert you of interesting historical sites and such? Remember that we talked about? The problem is I turned it on, and every single, I live in Front Royal, which is an old Civil War town, and Indian graveyard, which the entire state is. And every single freaking day at the same place, it would say, General Jackson stood here, and finally I just removed it. I don't need every day to be reminded. I know, I've been there, Jesus. Enough with the history. Okay, so this is a great story. The rise of revenge Yelp and why it will only make restaurants worse. This is maybe an opinion piece. So yesterday, New York City Chinese restaurant got its revenge against a 1-star Yelper. Basically, this is about restaurants compiling evidence to dispute and troll back to a Yelper who trashes them. And Yelp's very important. I had a restaurant guy in tears once. He said, I don't know what to do with my Yelp score. I said, well, clean your freaking restaurant. When user Dan W. scrawled on the restaurant ranking site that Wonderful had refused to seat him, the restaurant posted video to YouTube showing that he'd never even spoken to an employee and instead left on his own accord moments after walking in. The response worked. Dan W. removed his post, and perhaps he will think twice before disparaging a restaurant again. I think that's fair. If someone lied about Pam and said Pam was a rhymes with itch to me in the lobby, and you got the camera and you didn't even have a conversation with this person, and they're just a troll lying, I think absolutely you should defend your honor if you have the evidence to back it up. I don't think there's a problem with that. Why should the restaurant be defenseless to defend itself against people who are dishonest, apparently, according to the story? What do you think, Pam? Would you defend your honor? You'd probably punch the person in the face.
No, I wouldn't. I don't care what people think. You know, but at the same time, if I was a restaurant, you know, I absolutely think that you should be able to troll the customer back. You know, the internet, you can say whatever you want on the internet. You should see some of the shit people say about me on the internet, you know. None of it's true, or if it is true, it's a, you know, a twist of the actual facts or whatever to suit them. And yeah, I mean, there's really no defense to that. So if you're a business that relies on those reviews to have customers, then I absolutely think there should be repercussions for people lying. But you know, I don't think that those cyber attacking a place because it has a policy that is unpopular or whatever is a good thing. You have to have used the service in order to give it a review, and your review should reflect your actual experience, not, you know, your opinion about their politics or their religion or whatever, you know, that people are using Yelp to editorialize. I don't think that's a good idea.
It's also about fairness, and this is a powerful tool that anyone is free to use. And I was in a Popeyes, and I went there like everyone goes to the restaurant. I'd never been to Popeyes before. I haven't been in years, and it was local in town, so I went there one time, try it, and it was, you know, the greasy chicken I expected, and I haven't been back because I'm not really into that. But it was okay, you know, fast food chicken. So I saw a guy, and apparently they were having serious issues with service, but they just opened. It was like day 2, right? So there was this guy standing there, and he's like, 45 minutes. I've been waiting for my food. I finally got it. And he held his bag. I said, oh, can I take a picture, right? So I had, you know, and I thought about saying, you know, after 45 minutes, he's really happy to get his food. And I thought, you know, I'm not going to do that. It's day 2, right? That's just not fair. If in 8 weeks, that's a regular thing, different story, right? So I tried to be responsible. I did want the picture because it was funny. But here's an example here. There were 2 guys in this restaurant. This is in the same story on Yelp. They demanded to be sat without reservations, or they would Yelp the restaurant then and there. That's a verb now. I'm going to Yelp you.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, chefs are striking back. Arden and Harrow owner Michael Selfo posted a photo of the 2 on his Instagram account. It went viral, becoming a kind of clarion call for Yelp revenge. My choice to post this is not to slander on them per se, but to call attention to a major flaw in the current online review system, an entitled mentality. Mm-hmm. It is a weapon. Yeah. So weapons can be useful and they can be abused. So I just think it'll be interesting to see how this goes. And I like when someone doesn't like the political stand of a restaurant or what have you, and there'll be millions of people who have the opposite viewpoint giving them 1-star reviews, and they obviously haven't eaten there. Some guy in Indianapolis, and he's doing a restaurant in Sarasota, Florida, because he disagrees with some political statement that the restaurant made. And the other thing was the restaurant that encourages 1-star reviews and will give you a discount if you do it while you're eating, because they said Yelp was unfair, that they wouldn't pay them, or I don't know what the issue with Yelp was, that they said it was unfair. And so they were encouraging everyone to give them 1-star reviews, and would actually give you like 10% off your order if you showed them your 1-star review, trashing them, or like participating in their fun thing, which just skewed it and drew attention to them. So Yelp is an interesting animal. I think that's all I got. But I did want to see what you guys do. I saw an interesting on the Indiana Kentucky story about the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and I did a video on this. They got a number of comments. It's on Google Plus and on YouTube. If you just say Dan McDermott thoughts on Indiana law or whatever, it's not that long, like 4 minutes or something. But I was walking in the park, but the Kentucky thing, that both were, there's a federal version of this law that was passed largely in response to Native Americans who were using peyote, which I guess is some sort of hallucinogen thing. Pam, I don't know. Harold would know.
I'm like, am I the expert on illicit drugs?
Well,
yes,
there's a few arrows in your quiver. You're my go-to.
I've actually never done it, but yes, it is a psychoactive, hallucinogenic drug that I believe you smoke it. I can look it up. I've never done it.
So
I've never done mushrooms either. So.
Well, there's still room. There's still journeys left.
You know, if I can find it, if I can find them, I'll do it.
But see, they would do it. And,
it's a small spineless cactus with psychoactive alkaloids, particularly mescaline. So there you go.
It's good shit. But I don't do any of that stuff. But Native Americans, I guess, have been using it for a long time in their ceremonies.
Yeah.
And so, what do you do when you have a situation like that? There have been other circumstances, like Native American tribes are allowed to possess eagle feathers. Whereas if you or I found an eagle feather while we're walking in a park, like the other day, I was walking and I found a woodpecker feather, and they're kind of cool. They're beautiful animals. It was the red-headed, black and white woodpecker, and they're very large, much larger when you get close to them than you'd think.
Focus, Dan.
So anyway, there are examples where, due to traditional religious things, you allow them to do that without infringing. Another example would be Rastas. Can they smoke pot? So Indiana, that was the federal law, which I think Clinton signed, and it's been re-upped since, something like that. But then this new...
Well, there's also this thing called the United States Constitution. That allows people to worship as well.
Sure. And so, but the tech angle of this, and anyway, they passed these new state laws were, in some cases, more far-reaching than the federal law. And it wasn't about peyote, but that was just one example used for the federal law. It was, the general thing is you should be free to practice your religion with merits. I mean, like they won't let you have multiple wives, but smoke your little cactus or whatever, and you're not hurting anybody. You've been doing it for centuries, and we basically stole the land and put the survivors in concentration camps, so we'll let them have their cactus, right? So anyway, that happened, and then the state law push happened after the gay marriage ruling started happening, and this story of this baker in Roanoke who didn't want to do a wedding cake for a gay couple. So there was this big boycott where states, I think cities, were saying that no one could go to Indiana, and the NCAA is based there. And then there was a very similar law in Kentucky. And what was interesting is that the Kentucky governor had originally said he was going to sign it, but then he saw what was happening to Indiana, and he's like, I don't want any part of this. But he said in the press conference, and there is a generational divide on this issue. And the central question is, should you be forced to provide a service if you don't like the orientation of someone? And he said, and there's generational divide. Young people are 65%. Yes, you should have to do the service. Older people it's 65 against. So it's literally a complete divide. And then as you get younger, it's like a graph. So that was a very interesting statistic. But the governor of Kentucky, he said, when he said he was not going to sign it, that he was going to have the legislature redo it, and I think they did it within 24 hours to closely mirror the federal law, which wasn't as controversial, or at least wasn't as controversial. I mean, all that's a gray area. But he said in the press conference, he said, my son, Josh, signed a petition urging me, his dad, the governor, to veto the bill. And he said, I asked my son if I could do this. He said, there is a generational divide on this issue. And then I'll let you guys, if you guys want to talk. Alan doesn't like to get into controversial topics. My view is this. If you are a grocery store and someone wants to come in and buy something, you absolutely shouldn't be allowed to say no gays. You shouldn't be allowed to say no blacks or Jews or Catholics. In my case, I'm Catholic, brought up. You're a public store, a public place, convenience. You know, I mean, that's ridiculous. We're not in the 30s anymore. That said, if you're a wedding photographer and you're asked to shoot a wedding and you have strong views against that group, I don't think there's a problem. Frankly, I would just say, you know, I'm booked up that day or whatever. I would make a big stink about it. In other words, if you're doing a personal service and you have strong religious objections to it, I think you should get a pass. I think that's common sense. I think if it's a 7-Eleven and you have a sign up, no blacks, no gays, then I have a big problem with that. And that should not be allowed. But I think if some guy's a super religious dude, he's allowed to do that. And he shouldn't be forced to take pictures of something he thinks is anathema for 5 hours. And who the hell would want some guy who hates your guts taking your picture for 5 hours? What do you think, Pam?
I already told you on my post what I think.
There were so many
I think
comments,
that if you go into business, right, and your business is technically open to the public, and your criteria for accepting customers is that if you have money and I have the time in my calendar, or I have what you want to buy, then that's the end of it. Your right to worship, your right to worship and your right to have a faith and your right to believe has nothing to do with judging other people or excluding other people because they don't fit into your belief system. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous reason to refuse service. Now, if someone comes in and they're violent to other customers, someone comes in and they, set your display of Cheetos on fire, or if they come in and they damage your property, or if they come in and they are not up to the health code of the requirement of to run your business or whatever, those are valid reasons to refuse service.
That's not prejudice and bigotry. That's action-based. That's behavior-based, right?
Right.
If a gay couple was acting like assholes, you'd have a right to kick them out of your restaurant, but not because they're gay, because they're assholes.
Right. The United States Constitution says you have the right to practice your religion and to worship if whatever religion you choose to believe in. It doesn't say that you have the right to foist your belief or your prejudice or your judgment on other people.
But
that's
it's
where
different.
the line
The difference, though, Pam, and I understand your passion and your view is certainly valid. The difference is by forcing them, and I personally would do the wedding, I would bake the cake, I have no problem with it. I'd put the cake with a Mormon dude and 7 of his wives. Money's money. I don't care. I'll take his dollar.
I mean,
but what you're doing is you're forcing the person who doesn't like that because of his sincere religious. We'll assume it's a sincere religious belief because you've been taught you're going to burn in hell if you practice that, and they think it's like chosen. If you hoisting your belief on them, you're forcing them.
If you stick your penis into another guy's behind,
I'm familiar with the activities.
Then you're going to go to hell. Okay? It doesn't say that if you sell a wedding cake to 2 dudes, you're going to go to hell. Okay? God gets to be the judge, not the wedding cake maker.
But I think if you force, I think that's the equivalent of me saying that you have to speak something that you don't agree with. Because speech can be more than just speaking.
Religion is not a free pass to discriminate. Period.
I agree,
And
and there are limits, like yelling fire in a crowded theater and commercial speeches doesn't have the same protections as political speech or religious speech, which are the most protected, and the reason. But really, these protections exist to protect unpopular speech, because popular speech doesn't need protection. I don't know. I think we're just gonna have to disagree on this. I think if it's letting someone buy a hamburger in your joint, I think
but
absolutely.
you're using the type of business as the determining factor.
The difference is whether you are forced to provide a personal service that you would view as a tacit endorsement of something you disagree with. Then you're forcing. If I'm forced, let's say I can't stand
Well, let's say I have a
Jews or
disagreement
whatever,
with
whatever
black
group. Yeah. I mean, you have a.
Hey, Dan, so let me make sure I get this
Okay,
correct.
go ahead.
Okay? Selling a cake to somebody, they should have to do. Selling a wedding cake to somebody, they should be allowed to choose whether they do it or not.
I think, well, even finer than that, Alan. I would say if I own a grocery store and someone's coming in to buy a cake, then that's fine. If someone wants me to mow their lawn and it happens to be a gay couple and I say I'm not going to do it, then I think that that's wrong. But if someone wants me to decorate a cake to Joe and Steve and put two little male figures on the top, that is different than them coming in buying something off the shelf, because then you're saying I'm performing a personal service that, and I'm saying me because I would have no problem doing it, but this person would be forced to issue a de facto
we're not
endorsement.
asking you. We're not asking you to be there at the wedding night. I don't understand what the problem is. You make the cake.
I don't
You don't
either,
even
but
have
they
to,
would have a
You
problem.
don't even have to
Dan.
put the figures on the top. Let them bring the figures. You know,
Dan.
what the hell?
So, Dan, so you're saying that Mormons cannot be baristas?
Well, that's a stretch. I got to stop and think about that one, because he's referring to the Mormons. Many
know,
Mormons
they
don't drink caffeine. Or they don't consume caffeine because they don't even have cola nuts, which is an African thing. Most people aren't
They
aware.
don't consume caffeine because that's in violation of their religious principles. So a Mormon cannot be a barista. Or, more precisely, a Mormon who is a barista cannot actually sell you coffee products.
Well, a great example of that is Marriott, who's a famous Mormon, and they had the hotels without any alcohol. And then he said, you know what? We're going to go out of business if we don't sell booze, because all the other hotels offer alcohol. So he started putting bars in his restaurants, even though he's a teetotaler. And he doesn't believe in alcohol. But that's a public convenience. And you can argue that that's an endorsement of alcohol by having a bar I mean, clearly that's an endorsement of alcohol. I just think if you are some bigoted dude and you just are just terrified, you sit in your house and you're just terrified of gays or whatever, and you're asked to go photograph a gay wedding, I think I think you should have the right. Now, you should be, I would say, just be politely decline. And maybe it's a different thing to put a sign up, no gays allowed to come in my photography shop. I have a problem with that. But I don't think you should force someone to provide a personal service for 5 hours for something that they personally feel violates their strong, sincere religious views. I think you can have a reasonable compromise on this issue. Like, I can say that freedom of speech should be protected, but you shouldn't be able to say fire in a crowded theater. But I should be able to say generally offensive things, because that's why it's protected. Because who's to say what's offensive and what's not? And I think we can all agree this is a problem that's going to die out, because the young people could care less. Just like that basketball player or the basketball team owner who was a racist and said, you know, why are you with all these black people? I was just shocked at that. I was like, who thinks like that anymore? I mean, this is like from the 30s and 40s. And that sort of attitude is going to die out. And this is going to die out. But in the meantime, there's a bunch of old, you know, whatever. And it's a minority view. But that's why we have these protections. I think that the difference is if you're a public store, like a 7-Eleven or whatever, or any kind of thing where you're just, you know, I think that if you want to mow somebody's lawn, that's not a tacit endorsement of their lifestyle. You're mowing their lawn. But decorating a cake or performing a personal service that you would feel with your sincere beliefs that is a tacit endorsement of something you think is a mortal sin, I would have to give a pass to that person to protect their freedom of speech, even though I disagree with their view. Who am I to say whether your speech is legitimate? If we get into that argument, then we're all screwed. Go ahead, Pam. You're probably ready to beat me up again.
I disagree. I disagree with you.
Yeah, we both disagree. We found a rare moment of disagreement, Pam.
I just think that if you really have that kind of rabid belief, you probably shouldn't be in business. And that's the bottom line. Be an employee. I'm telling you that if I am uber religious and I went to my work and I refuse to work with the gay guy that's on my team. I mean, what kind of
There's a difference
where's
again.
no, it's not the difference.
There's a difference. There's a difference in.
What if I was a marketer and I was given the campaign for, the Rainbow Coalition or the I don't know.
I would say that if you refuse to do that assignment, you're. And I don't know how this law. That's a good question. That's a good question. Under the RFRA, right? Would you be able to claim that the employer unfairly fired you because you refused to work on a publicity campaign and the employer lost a contract and a bunch of money from a good client that every year had them do the Rainbow Coalition thing or whatever Reverend
That's
Jackson's
actually a religious
organization.
Yeah.
The Rainbow Coalition is well, that's a racist thing, but I mean that's a racial harmony endorsing group. Yeah, so I would say if it was a convention, if you were doing the annual, I think in Disney World or Disneyland, they have an annual gay event. And if they wanted to hire, let's say for many years that they've used this PR firm and they hired some person and he says like, oh, I can't work on this and you offended the client, would RFRA allow you to sue the company if they got rid of you because you refused to follow an instruction? That's an interesting question I don't know the answer to. And then, but I think if you are personally providing a service and it's not like mowing somebody's lawn, but it's like decorating a cake and you are so entwined in your views that you think that that's endorsing something you think is religiously repugnant. Again, I don't feel that way. I totally feel the opposite, but I think freedom of speech protections exist to protect unpopular speech, and that certainly qualifies.
How about ACT UP? There we go.
Yeah, I mean, you can find a number of examples.
No, it's a total slippery slope.
What if you had a justice of the peace, and let's say that there was some pocket where it was legal to have 7 wives.
You leave your religion at home. Once you get paid or once you provide a public service, it has to be public. And if you can't reconcile those two, then out of business you have to go. You're going to have to quit your job or whatever.
Okay, here's one. What if you perform weddings via Skype to anywhere in the world? People want a U.S. Justice of the Peace to do your wedding. And some Muslim dude asks you to marry him to a 9-year-old. And it's perfectly legal in their country. And you have a religious objection to, raping a 9-year-old and calling it marriage. Should you be able to be sued under RFRA?
It's not illegal it's illegal in the United States to do that. So I'm not getting it. RFRA doesn't exist.
It's illegal
to
have a gay wedding in Iran.
Yeah, but we're not in Iran.
Which that
we're
Tom
talking
Cotton
only
guy
about the
noted,
We're only talking about the United States, right?
Yeah. I just think that there is some room for compromise. I don't think you should force someone to do something they sincerely believe is against their religious views if it's a personal service. It's different from letting someone purchase a product from your store or providing a service for them that is not a tacit endorsement of something you think is wrong, like mowing the lawn or painting the house or what have you. Selling them a car. That's different. But to decorate the cake, to endorse the wedding, or to do the wedding photography, and there's less of an argument for the wedding photographer than for the guy decorating the cake and putting 2 women or 2 men or a whole slew of Mormons on there. And I'm not picking on Mormons. That's the old church, and then they got rid of that so they could become a state. But and I apologize. I think I've offended Catholics, Muslims, Jews, our African American audience in the course of this delicate balancing act I'm trying to perform here. I'm surprised that we're still being cordial, Pam. But can you understand my view? I mean, I'm not some bigot. And I don't subscribe to any of those views.
No, I never said you were. All I said that if you have a business, you should really strongly consider removing religion from your business. It will suffer, and especially in today's day and age, if as soon as it comes out that you refuse to do a wedding for a gay couple in a state where it's legal for gays to get married, you're fucked, and that's just the way it is.
So you think that a store that closes 1 hour before sundown on Friday and doesn't reopen until 1 hour after sundown on Saturday, what's your position on that store?
But it does that for everybody, right?
Well, it does that for everybody because that's the strict interpretation of their religion.
Right? But they're not excluding customers. They're just...
Well, they are. They're
their-
excluding customers who wish to buy something on
I don't
Saturday.
think that's anything different
No,
from
but
if I shut down for Christmas.
But the setting your business hours excludes all customers. See, there's a difference between picking and choosing what who your customers are. So it would be different if they only opened for
Okay, that's fine.
Jews
Yep.
on Friday night, right?
I tell you what, B&H would be in big trouble because they close for every obscure holiday I've never even heard of.
That was exactly who I was thinking about, yes.
I think,
But they
I mean,
close
every
for
mall in
everybody.
America closes for, most malls close for Christmas, spring, and Easter. Costco closes Christmas, spring, and Easter. They're not, I'm sorry, Thanksgiving, Easter,
as I
and Christmas.
as I say, Target doesn't. Target closes for Easter, and I think Lowe's might close for Easter. Maybe Kohl's closes for Easter,
The
but
difference is
yeah.
if they're not going to say, I'm not going to sell you a camera if because you're any of these groups, right? That's a different the distinguishing feature for me that makes it a case of I'll give them a pass or her a pass is if they are personally doing something that they view as an endorsement of the specific group, and that would be like decorating the cake with a message, celebrating the marriage of two people they don't think should be.
And here's my opinion on that. You don't have a right. Your religious right does not give you the right to discriminate or exclude other people because of that religion. It doesn't matter what your belief is. You can hate gays with every fiber of your being because they are an abomination against God. And guess what? That's great.
Okay, I got one for you.
But the truth is that even the Bible says, love thy neighbor. God gets to choose.
What
right?
what if a
God is
what if
the
a
judge.
strict Muslim had a sign up, we'll
I
cater
don't
your
know
event.
I don't know enough about the Quran to
They don't
talk
eat
about.
pork. They don't
Okay.
eat pork. So what if they had a sign that said, "We will cater your wedding and we'll customize it. We're very versatile chefs. We'll make your whatever thing." And you said, "I want a pig on a skewer." And they said, I don't want to do that. I can't touch pork. I can't. It's unclean. I can't. My religious views." I would give them a pass. It's not just about gays, right? That's their sincere view that it says it's a sin to eat pork. You can't touch it, let alone eat it. Right? It's got to be halal and the strict guys, right? And all religions have various degrees of strictness, right? There are Hasidic Jews, and there are, in fact, in Israel, most people aren't particularly religious. But I think that I would give that guy a pass and say you shouldn't have to do that. That was a typo, and he didn't think about that. He didn't think someone would have the gall to suggest he did pork. Right? It's not just about gay rights. It's about his right to say, you know what? With all due respect, I just have a religious objection to doing this personal service. I have a sincere belief. I'm not. You can do what you want to do legally, but I don't want to have.
So again, the difference is he's not serving pork to anybody. It's
But he
not that
said,
he's
"I'll do
not
whatever you
serving
want. If
pork.
someone wants
It's not
artichokes, I don't normally stock it, but I'll go to Martin's and get artichokes." And then all of a
exactly.
sudden,
He's
someone
not. He's
throws
not.
a zinger and says pork, and he's like, "Whoa!"
He's not serving. He's not serving pork to everyone but gays. See, there's the difference, right?
I think you should have to
As soon
serve
as you
gays, except
exclude-
if it's a personal service where you are doing something that you view as a tacit endorsement, not mowing the lawn, not painting the thing, not selling them a car, but writing a message that you find.
And I'm telling you that as soon as you open for a public business, you get to make the choice as to how you run that business, as long as your rules extend to everybody who could be the customer. You can't pick and choose your customer. That's where you don't have to serve pork. If it's against your religion, you don't have to serve pork, but you don't have to serve pork to anybody. You're not saying I'm serving pork to only this group and I'm excluding this other group. See, that's where it comes into play. That's where the difference is, right? You get to have your religious beliefs as long as that does not infringe on anyone else's rights.
Well, you know how many bakers and photographers are out there. It's not like there's only one bakery.
Who knows? Maybe they were the best. Right? Maybe they made the best frickin' cake. They want the best frickin' cake for their $25,000 wedding.
Should you be able to sue a Catholic church that refuses to marry you? It's the prettiest cathedral in town.
Well, first of all, the Catholic Church is the Catholic Church is technically not open to the public, right?
What if I was a member of the Catholic Church and
If
I was
you were a
gay and I
member,
came out of the
you
closet
can't.
and I wanted to marry another guy who's a Catholic and we met all the criteria except we're both men or we're both lesbians or what have you, and I went up to the priest, I said, "We've been lifelong members of the church. By the way, we're lesbians and we're getting married, and will you please do the service?" And it's anathema to him, and it's specifically against doctrine. He would probably be defrocked if he did it. I'm going to be able to have a cause of action against him because he refuses to marry me?
No, actually, the Catholic Church will excommunicate you, and you won't be a member anymore. They get to do that.
I don't think they would excommunicate you if you simply said you were
Oh.
gay.
Absolutely, they would. Yeah, they would. If you get divorced.
What if I said
Yeah,
we
you
don't
actually
have? Okay, the
have to
sin
have-
is
you
the
actually have
act.
to have your divorce annulled in order to continue to
Do
be
you not
a
get
member
my
of the
meaning?
Catholic
If you went to a
Church.
Baptist church and it was strict fundamentalist Baptist or charismatic
That's
Baptist, and they
even
were
worse.
against gay marriage, and there were two lesbians who were long-term members in there,
But you're talking about a church. That is not a business. There's a difference. If I'm open to the
you
public,
pay
and
the
I'm
priest
selling,
to do the wedding. You book the room to do the reception.
well, it's all tax deductible. It's all, it falls under a completely different set of rules for business than Joe's wedding cakes. It's completely different.
My point is, you're asking the priest or the Baptist minister to perform. I think if you want to come there and attend church or whatever, or if you want to attend their cookout or what have you, if it's a Greek Orthodox church and you are a customer at their annual Greek festival to get your baklava and your souvlaki on, and that spinach thing, spana, whatever the hell it is, it's so good that they were sampling in Costco today. I don't think they should be able to deny you the right to come in with your lesbian partner or your gay partner and pay your $5 entry fee to the public thing and eat your souvlaki. I think that if you said no gays allowed to come in here, I think I got a real problem with that. But should you be allowed to get married? Let's say that they rented out their room for weddings. Well, that's not a good example because I think of it, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, there are things where there's a difference between selling someone a souvlaki who happens to be gay or lesbian, and allowing them to have a wedding in your church when your church doctrine specifically bans that. You're asking someone to tacitly approve of something that is against their sincere religious beliefs.
Between a church and a business. The church can refuse, the business cannot.
What if they
That's-
allow
that's fine.
anybody to rent their room, but they don't allow gay weddings to occur there? If the general public can rent the equivalent of a bingo hall at a moose lodge, but
Dan,
the church
Dan,
room,
Dan, the
Pam,
church is allowed to discriminate. A public business is not. That's
so your
the
constitutional
freaking-
protections stop. So there's where's the asterisk in the First Amendment that says if you are an approved church, and who decides?
it's not your constitutional amendment. What are you talking about? The right to worship
Mm-hmm.
does not include the right to exclude. There's a difference. You can believe whatever the fuck you want. You can get down on your hands and knees and pray 12 times a day or do whatever you need to do. But if you are a business, you can't use those beliefs to discriminate against another person, because your beliefs don't get to infringe on someone else's rights.
Okay, so
You can worship, but you can't be a bigot. There's a difference.
Okay. Well, one person's bigot is another person's religious, a good Christian.
But you do.
Hobby
you're
Lobby.
making the case.
Hobby
You're-
Lobby
you-
used RFRA, the federal RFRA. The Supreme Court cited the Federal Religious Freedom Restoration Act to side with Hobby Lobby for the exemption to the Affordable Care Act, specifically a similar situation. And the impetus here, at least the official impetus, was that the federal RFRA law did not apply to state laws. And so they simply wanted to pass a law that mirrored the federal law, but they put some other crazy stuff in, and that's what caused the objection. But now they've mirrored, like Kentucky, just literally mirrored very closely the federal law, if not exactly. And so the controversy died immediately. Although I'm not in Kentucky right now, and right now they're dealing with flooding and this giant GE fire, so I guess they're not as worried about RFRA this week. But Hobby Lobby won their case specifically because they were allowed to say they were a business, but they were a family-owned business, and they had religious objections to, I think it was contraception, and that they were allowed to get an exemption to not have to pay for that. Now, that's not the same as gay marriage, but on the federal level, there is this protection. The question is whether states should have it.
So, again, this applies to their employees who are at will employees and who have access to other jobs, right? And that
like there are other
exemption
bakers
is
and photographers. Keep going.
no, that is not the analogy.
Maybe it's
right?
the best place to work in town. Maybe it's the best bakery in town. Keep going.
They have private insurance. Okay, they are privately owned, and
They're getting Obamacare.
they are saying yes, but they're not saying if you're gay, I'm not going to supply you with health care. They're saying all of the employees.
They absolutely could be saying that if they don't have to give gay men can use condoms.
Oh my God. Okay, Dan. Whatever. I'm done. I'm done arguing with you.
I silenced
I
Pam?
do-
This has never
Yeah.
happened. Ever.
Well, that's because you're bringing up analogies that sort of don't work, and also I disagree with the Supreme Court's decision.
Okay.
I do not think that someone's religious beliefs should be foisted upon all of its employees. Period.
Okay.
That's the way I feel about it, and I bet you that will eventually be overturned, because it is completely discriminatory. It is completely using religion to impose their will on their employees, and I think that's crap. But you know what? The Catholic Church gets to do that with all those Catholic-owned hospitals too. They do not provide birth control, abortion, services or any of those other um, services that go against religion. They don't provide any of those in Catholic charity hospitals, which is unfortunate because that means all the poor people can't really have access to birth control. But you know,
Jeff
whatever.
Stoner notes after we were discussing whether you could put direct importation of videos from Google Plus or Drive or yeah. So he's saying here that you can. I think I might lose power if I suddenly disappear. That's why. So there's an option here. You say select files to upload, and there's import your videos from Google Plus. You click that. That's interesting. I'd forgotten that or didn't know. Either's equally likely. And then comments from Cybernaut, who provides this wonderful, helpful pronunciation guide. Captain Euro says they could have just baked a lousy cake. The homosexual couple would have gone somewhere else, and the bakers wouldn't have broken the law. That's the thing. I think I would just handle delicately. I wouldn't say why. I would just say, I'm really booked up, but you two have a great wedding. And he said I would hire another caterer. I needs my bacon and my whiskey. Oh, that's another one. We need a bacon button, Pam. I'm sure we could all agree on that. We should definitely have a bacon button, especially with Richard in the house, because bacon goes through him like shit through a goose. If you were a member of the church and you came out, you would be ostracized and excommunicated. There was a day where divorce would get that reaction from the church. Exactly. Henry VIII comes to mind. Any
No, even recently, my friend was a Catholic, and when she got divorced, she actually had to get her marriage annulled because otherwise they would kick her out of the church.
Pam Adger, great to have you back. I'm glad you were not calm and placid on your return visit. How was your Google Plus week, young lady?
Pretty good. I went to social media conference. Well, I didn't actually attend the conference. I just kind of went to the hotel where it was being held, and had a great time schmoozing with some of the marketing Google Plus people on Friday night. I saw Ronnie Bincer, but he didn't come over to say hi or anything, so I left him alone. So that was fun. I spent the weekend with my friend Lori, and then went back to work on Monday, and it was hell. So that was my week. How about you, Alan? You still awake?
I think Alan's trying his new tablet selfie stick. Okay, so while Alan is probably throwing darts into his Dan McDermott dartboard, I will say my week was I went to it was a death in the family, but we went to the Smoky Mountains, which is I hadn't been to. I was probably 11 years old, so it was about 6-7 years ago. But absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, super nice people. I could listen to them talk all day long. And then I got to see the kid get electrocuted at the pony thing, which really made the day. And I got it on camera. So that was fun. He wasn't hurt. It was a funny moment. So that was, it was a long drive, 6.5 hours. And I got the paper out. And then that was forever. I think I finally posted it like 5:30 a.m. Then I had to get up at 8. And of course, once you're done, you can't like immediately fall asleep. It's like at least a half an hour. So I had like 2 hours sleep. So it's kind of a zombie today. I think I'm a zombie now. I'm doing surprisingly well for being so tired. But anyway, that was interesting, and I'm looking forward to a week where I don't have to put the paper together. Those are my favorite weeks. But Alan, is he back to give us a thing? Okay. All right. Well, I will do a quick reminder, and Alan, interrupt me if you come back and want to do your thing before I close. But I will be on the radio tomorrow morning, every Saturday morning, 11:07 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:07 a.m. 8, 9, 10, 11. 8:07 a.m. Pacific time, that crazy time zone that Pam is in. And I'll be discussing Indiana and Kentucky and other stuff. That's why we do it like a dress rehearsal on the show, because it warms me up, so I can defang the host with my wit and charm. But that's after CBS News every Saturday morning. So this program is one of two we do. We do the other program is called Our Android Week. That is Mondays, where we discuss all things Android, the latest Android news. That's Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. This program, Google Plus Week, officially, although we're usually late, and lately not always my fault, but technically it's 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on Friday nights, where we discuss tech news and any Kentucky or Indiana news. We try to squeeze in there when appropriate. So Edward O'Dwyer notes Publix supermarket is closed on Easter. A lot of places are. But anyway, thank you for watching very much. And until next time, have an awesome Google Plus week. Thanks.